Hi, this is Jim Larsen. The last time we met, I took you on a tour of the World Trade Center. Today, I thought that we would stay a little closer to home and visit Lakehurst. We're standing on the site where, on May 6, 1937, the Zeppelin Hindenburg ended her final voyage. To the right of the photograph is Hangar 1, which was built in 1919 to accommodate Zeppelins. I want you to imagine you're a passenger on that voyage. On May 3, 1937, you walk out onto the tarmac, and there in front of you is the Hindenburg, a giant airship, 803 feet long and 138 feet in diameter, capable of carrying over 7 million cubic feet of hydrogen, the gas that makes this beautiful ship fly through the clouds, and the gas that will also spell her downfall. The sight of the ship reinforces your belief that this is truly the wave of the future, and in years to come, hundreds and thousands of passengers will be traveling around the world in these sleek ships of the air. It's hard to describe how big she was. I've heard people say she was the length of 3 football fields. I could never visualize that, but I think this shot will give you a better idea of just how big she really was. That's a 747 you're looking at in the center. You paid $700 for your round-trip passage. One way would have been $450. And you're now ready to embark on your journey from Frankfurt, Germany to New York via Lakehurst, New Jersey. You're not concerned about the safety of the aircraft, even though there have been rumors of a possible sabotage. You know all about the Zeppelin. Patented in Germany in 1895 and in the US in 1899, they were first flown commercially in 1910 by a company called D-Log, the first commercial airline in the world. By mid-1914, D-Log had carried over 34,000 paying passengers on 1,500 flights. Along with you and the other 35 passengers, she will be carrying mail and cargo. On one trip, it is rumored that she even carried a full-grown bull elephant, but not today. Her top speed is a blazing 85 miles an hour at an altitude of between 500 and 1,500 feet. The fastest crossing she made between Frankfurt and New York was westbound 58 hours, coming back 48 hours. In the 1936 season, she carried over 1,000 passengers on flights between Frankfurt and New York and Frankfurt to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Between 1936 and 1937, she's been refitted to accommodate 72 passengers. Although on this flight there will only be 36, with a crew of 61, one of which are new hires training for an assignment on the new Graf Spee, which is being built. Right now, you're about to enjoy the luxury of flying on an airship. You have your own cabin, not so spacious, but it holds promise of future refinements. A luxurious dining room and a spacious lounge area with windows you can open, first-class cuisine, and even a smoking room. The airship lifts off on time, but en route, she runs into some strong headwinds, arriving over the northeastern United States at about 2 p.m., getting to Lakehurst at 3, about 12 hours late. On arrival over the landing site, her captain, Max Pruss, is informed that due to major thunderstorms in the area, she will have to postpone landing until the weather clears. She heads for the coast, flying up and down from Cape May to New York City for the next 4 hours, arriving back at Lakehurst at approximately 7 p.m. at which time her captain, Max Pruss, is advised that he is cleared to land. Pruss is in a hurry. They must land, service the aircraft, and take off as soon as possible because on the return trip they will be carrying 72 VIPs who plan to be attending the crowning of King George VI in London on May 12, 1937. In case you didn't recognize her, Elizabeth, the future Queen of Great Britain, and her sister Margaret are in the foreground. Hindenburg starts her approach from the southwest and begins venting hydrogen to descend. First rule in the Zeppelin book is do not vent if there's lightning in the area. Second is, once you do vent, fly straight and level for at least 1.5 miles to dissipate the hydrogen, as it would tend to collect where the upper rudder met the tail of the ship. She flies for about a mile, then makes a sharp left turn. Third rule, do not make sharp turns. You have an airship which will respond to the turn, but you have 16 bags of hydrogen that want to keep going straight. The hydrogen bags are held in place by steel cables, and tension, as it happens in tight turns, may cause the cables to snap and cut the bags, producing leaks of hydrogen in the interior of the ship. At this point, it was assumed that the ship had vented gas, collected on the outside at the tail, and a ruptured bag inside in about the same vicinity. After a series of turns, the ship begins to get tail heavy. So Captain Pruss sends men to the front of the ship and dumps about 2 tons of ballast water to balance her. The ship levels out at approximately 200 feet, and the mooring lines are dropped. 34 seconds after the lines hit the ground, the Hindenburg is a smoldering hulk. As the flaming ship was coming down, the ground crew, consisting of 250 sailors and civilians, began to scatter. Bull Tobin, a Navy chief in charge, yells for the ground personnel to stand fast. He then orders them to start rescuing people in the wreckage. They even find an elderly couple sitting with their luggage in their room waiting to disembark without a scratch on them. Where we were standing at the start of this presentation is where the gondola came down. If you could look out there, you would see 2 small posts sticking up from the ground. That's where the mooring mast was positioned, and that's where the ship was headed. Should have gone about another 1/4 mile. In the gondola were Captain Pruss and Captain Ernst Lehmann, who was a PR man for the Zeppelin Company on his way to D.C. to ask the U.S. to sell helium to Germany. Lehmann is seriously burned in the crash and later dies at Kimball Hospital. Pruss goes back in 3 times to help rescue people, but is finally restrained when someone realizes that he will be needed in any future investigations into the incident. He is also seriously burned and later loses his nose. Some of you have heard the report with the famous words, "Oh, humanity." It was the voice of Herb Morrison, a talk show host from Chicago who was covering the arrival of the Hindenburg's first flight of the 1937 season. He was standing outside Hangar 1 when the ship burst into flames. He managed to record an eyewitness account of the disaster, which was later voiced over onto newsreel footage, which became so famous.
It's starting to rain again. The rain had slacked up a little bit. The back motors of the ship are just holding it just enough to keep it from... It bursts into flames. Get it started, get it started. It's fighting, and it's rising. It's rising terrible. Oh my, get out of the way, please. It's burning, bursting into flames, and it's falling on the mooring mast, and all the folks believe that this is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's like money. oh, 400 or 500 feet into the sky. It's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke and the flames now, and the flame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the passengers screaming around it. I told you, I can't even talk to people. There's friends around there. I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen. Honest, it just laid down massive smoking wreckage. And everybody can hardly breathe and talk and screaming. Lady, I'm sorry. Honest.
13 passengers, 22 crew members, and one of the ground crew perished on that day. A total of 36 dead. This was not the greatest loss of lives in a Zeppelin disaster. That distinction goes to USS Akron, which, in an accident about 60 miles off the coast of Barnegat, New Jersey, lost 73 of her 76-man crew. She did not get the publicity the Hindenburg got because there were no newsreel footage. Among the Hindenburg survivors was a 14-year-old cabin boy named Werner Franz, who was drenched when a water ballast bag burst over his head. The drenching he got saved his life, enabling him to walk off the aircraft uninjured. Also on board was a 7-year-old passenger, Walter Dorner, whose mother threw him and his brother out the window, then jumped herself. The mother and the boys lived. The father went back to try and save his daughter. Both perished. After an investigation, the result of the safety board hearing was a determination that static electricity ignited the free hydrogen, causing a fire which consumed the aircraft. Captain Pruss was never indicted. After the disaster, there was only one other Zeppelin built, the Graf Zeppelin II, completed in 1938. Built to carry 150 commercial passengers, she never carried any and was dismantled in 1940. That ended the era of the heavy-than-air ships.